Welcome back to Adventures in Isla del Encanto. Today we're in Cabo Rojo, Puerto Rico, a hidden gem on the island's southwest coast. We're exploring one of Puerto Rico's most breathtaking destinations, Cabo Rojo's famous pink salt flats, the lookout tower, hiking trails, and of course the iconic Los Morrillos Lighthouse and natural land bridge. If you ever dreamed of visiting a place that feels like it's straight out of a postcard, pink waters, stunning cliffs, and turquoise waters, you're going to love this adventure. This is where raw nature meets dramatic cliffs and crystal waters. Let's get started. As you drive into Cabo Rojo Salt Flats Nature Reserve, the scenery changes quickly from coastal mangroves to scrubland and wide open salt ponds stretching toward the horizon. This area is part of the Cabo Rojo's National Wildlife Refuge, managed by the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service. That means the Salt Flats, Visitor Center, Lookout Tower, and Lighthouse Trails are all protected areas designed to preserve local ecosystem and wildlife. Something important to know before you come, since the refuge is managed by the U.S. Fish and Wildlife, the gates to the visitor center, the lookout tower, and the main entrance to the lighthouse and Playa Sucia are locked due to the government shutdown. That means for now you'll be unable to access the lookout tower. I did find some old pictures I had and included them so you can still see the view from the tower. It also means to access Playa Sucia and the lighthouse, there is an added hike. It's about 1.5 to 2 miles, depending on where you park. So plan ahead, bring sunscreen, wear comfortable shoes, and bring plenty of water. This area is completely worth the extra effort. When the visitor center is open, it gives you a deeper look into the unique ecosystem. Also, interactive exhibits and trail maps are available. You can also learn about the wildlife and history that shaped the region. Here, you'll learn about the region's endangered species, the centuries-old history of the salt flats. Interactive displays and trail maps make it easy for you to plan your route, whether you're birdwatching, hiking, or heading to the lighthouse. The staff is welcoming, knowledgeable, and ready to answer questions or point out the best spots to explore. It's a quick but valuable stop, especially if it's your first time in Cabo Rojo. High above the wetlands, the Overlook Tower offers panoramic views of the Caribbean coastline, salt flats, and surrounding hills. It's the perfect stop to give you a taste of what Cabo Rojo has to offer. It's the perfect place to pause, take in the scale of the refuge, and spot some of the area's native wildlife. On clear days, you can see all the way to the lighthouse perched on the cliffs. The overlook isn't just a viewpoint, it's your first glimpse of the wide beauty that makes Cabo Rojo so unforgettable. The old rusty bridge sits within the Cabo Rojo Wildlife Refuge near the entrance to the Los Morrillos salt flats. It crosses the narrow channel that separates parts of the salt evaporation pond. The bridge was originally built to connect the salt harvesting areas to the main transport routes. It allowed small vehicles and workers to move between different sections of the flats when salt production was still active on a large scale. Salt has been produced in Cabo Rojo for over 500 years, since at least the 1500s when Spanish established salt extraction operations. The area later became one of the oldest continually operated salt works in the Caribbean. By the early to mid-20th century, the salt company Compañía de Salinas de Cabo Rojo maintained a network of small bridges, rails, and dikes to move salt efficiently across the ponds. The iron bridge that stands today dates back to around the 1930s to 1950s. It was part of the old industrial infrastructure used by the Federación Industrial del Sureste, or the later Cabo Rojo Salt Company, depending on the period. The bridge is a single-lane iron truss bridge built with riveted steel beams typical of the early 20th century industrial construction. Over time, with exposure to salt, air, humidity, and lack of maintenance, the metal corroded heavily, giving it the distinct rusty orange-brown patina you see today. When the salt operations were reduced and the land was converted into a protected wildlife refuge in 1974, under the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, the bridge was abandoned. Vehicle traffic ceased and it became part of the historic landscape visitors see today. The bridge is no longer in use and unsafe for crossing, but it remains an important historic landmark that reflects the area's salt mining heritage. You can spot it from the main hiking trail that leads from the entrance toward the Salt Flats and Lookout Tower. It's a favorite photo spot because of the contrast between the decaying metal, pink waters, and blue sky. Some locals still refer to it as El Puente de las Salinas or Puente de Hierro, Iron Bridge. While it's no longer functional, it symbolizes Cabo Rojo's long-standing relationship with salt, an industry that once supplied much of Puerto Rico's domestic salt needs. The salt flats are some of the oldest in the Caribbean. Salt has been harvested here since the 1500s. The pink color comes from the tiny algae and microorganisms that thrive in the salty water. It's an incredible sight, but remember the flats are protected. Stay on the trail and view from the platforms only to help preserve the ecosystem. The salt flats are home to dozens of bird species. If you're lucky, you might spot flamingos during migration season. This whole area surrounding the Lookout Tower, Lighthouse, and Playa Sucia is a national wildlife refuge. It sprawls across thousands of protected acres. It's a sanctuary for migratory birds, native lizards, and delicate mangroves. Quiet trails wind through the landscape, connecting you to the rhythm of untouched nature. This refuge is home to over 100 species of birds, including the endangered yellow-shouldered blackbird, plus native reptiles, butterflies, and more. Whether you're birdwatching, hiking, or just taking a slow walk through nature, this is where Cabo Rojo truly comes alive. Then, at the edge of the world, standing proudly above the crashing waves, you'll see the Los Morrillos Lighthouse. Cabo Rojo's lighthouse is one of Cabo Rojo's most iconic landmarks. Los Morrillos Lighthouse sits at the southwestern tip of Puerto Rico on a limestone promontory in Cabo Rojo, overlooking the Mona Passage, the strait that separates Puerto Rico from the Dominican Republic. It was built to help guide ships safely through the dangerous reefs and the rocky coastline of the area, which were notorious for shipwrecks in the 1800s. The lighthouse marks the entrance to the Bahia de Boquerón and the approach to the Mona Passage, one of the busiest maritime routes in the Caribbean. Built in 1882, this Spanish colonial neoclassical style structure is a single-story rectangular building with a central tower. It is constructed with masonry walls, local limestone, and lime mortar. The original lens was manufactured in Paris. It was part of the Spanish lighthouse system of the Antilles, a network built to modernize maritime navigation in the Caribbean during the late 19th century. The plans came from Spain's Board of Lighthouse Engineers. After Puerto Rico became a U.S. territory in 1898, the lighthouse came under the jurisdiction of the U.S. Lighthouse Service and later the U.S. Coast Guard. It remained operational through much of the 20th century but fell into disrepair over time. In 1967, the original lens was replaced with a modern beacon. In 1977, the lighthouse was listed on the U.S. National Register of Historic Places. Then, in the 1990s to the 2000s, restoration projects stabilized the structure and repainted it in its signature white and gray tones. Today, it's still an active aid to navigation. Though the interior is typically closed to the public, visitors can walk around the exterior and enjoy panoramic ocean views from the cliffs. The name Los Morrillos refers to the two prominent headlands or small hills that extend into the sea on either side of the lighthouse. The term literally means little hills in Spanish. I have included a few old pictures I found from a trip we had taken in 2017 where the lighthouse was open and we were able to climb to the top. These rocky cliffs are made of limestone and fossilized coral shaped over millions of years by wind and ocean erosion, which also form the famous natural land bridge nearby. From here, the view is nothing short of breathtaking: endless blue waters, windswept cliffs, and sky that seems to go on forever in every direction. While the lighthouse itself is simple, the magic in the landscape around it raw, rugged, and unforgettable. Whether you're here for history, the hike, or just the view, the Cabo Rojo Lighthouse is a place that stays with you long after you leave. The area surrounding the lighthouse is part of Puerto Rico's dry coastal forest ecosystem, one of the rarest habitats on the island. Unlike the lush rainforest in the east, Cabo Rojo's environment is hot, sunny, and semi-arid, with salty air and limestone soil that make it tough for most plants to survive. Only hardy species adapted to wind, salt spray, and drought thrive here. Common plants you'll see as you hike toward the lighthouse and along the cliffs are seaside purslane, a creeping succulent with thick green leaves that grow right up to the edges of the cliffs and help prevent erosion. Saltwort and glasswort, small, fleshy, reddish-green plants that thrive in salt flats and low coastal areas. Bay cedar, a hardy shrub with small gray-green leaves that withstand strong winds and salty conditions. Crown of thorns cactus, a native cactus with a red cap that grows along rocky edges. Button mangrove, found near the salt ponds. This plant tolerates both dry soil and occasional flooding. And of course, native grasses. Drought-resistant types like Guinea grass and thatch grass cling to the rocky terrain and sway in the constant breeze. During the drier months, the landscape looks golden and scrubby. After rainfall, it transforms. Bright green sprouts pop up, and the cliffs briefly come alive with color. These plants aren't just beautiful, they're vital to the ecosystem's stability. Their roots hold the limestone soil together, preventing erosion. They provide shelter for insects and lizards, which in turn attract coastal birds. Many species help filter salt and trap moisture, allowing other plants to survive nearby. Because this area is maintained by the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, all vegetation is protected. Visitors are encouraged to stay on the marked trails to preserve the fragile ecosystem. As you look around the cliffs of Los Morrillos, it might seem like a harsh, barren landscape, but look closer. Every patch of green here tells a story of survival. These coastal plants have adapted to the salt spray, dry heat, and constant wind. The thick, waxy leaves of the seaside purslane and the bay cedar help them hold water. The cactus and succulent thrive in soil where almost nothing else could grow. Together, they form a living shield that protects the cliffs from erosion and supports the birds and wildlife that make the refuge so special. So even in one of Puerto Rico's driest corners, life finds a way, clinging to the edge of the island, just like the lighthouse standing watch above it. Just steps from the lighthouse, nature reveals one of its quiet masterpieces. A natural bridge carved over centuries by wind, rain, and relentless waves. A natural land bridge that arches over crashing waves below. It's not man-made, it wasn't planned. This narrow stretch of rock connects the cliffs like a secret passage with the sea churning below. It's one of the best kept secrets, a geological wonder that's beautiful to behold. Few visitors make it out here, but those who do never forget it.
Yes, mother.
And finally, the crown jewel, Playa Sucia. Despite its name, which translates to dirty beach, this hidden gem is pristine. Tucked between cliffs and coastline, the crescent-shaped bay is anything but dirty. This beach is one of Puerto Rico's hidden treasures, a place where turquoise waters meet soft, powdery white sand. It's the perfect place to cool off, unwind, and end your Cabo Rojo adventure. There are no food stands, no hotels, no loud crowds, just pure natural beauty framed by cliffs, nature, and Caribbean breezes. Cabo Rojo is more than a destination. It's a journey through history, nature, and wonder. So pack your sense of adventure, sunscreen, and water. Then discover the wild, untamed beauty of Puerto Rico's southwest coast. If you enjoyed this journey, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up. Leave a comment below. What part of Cabo Rojo do you want to visit next? For more hidden gems and travel adventures around Puerto Rico, hit the subscribe button and turn on notifications. Thank you for watching, and until next time, we'll see you on the island.